Hi there, this is Ranjit, and in this video I'll be doing the full review for this Vivo V9. And quite a few of you were asking me to review Vivo phones, and I've been ignoring you guys, but I just decided to test this out because the Vivo team told me this is their flagship device. And I was also very surprised that the unboxing video got over 1.8 million views. I don't know why. So here is the full review of this Vivo V9, and I'll divide it between the pros and cons. There's a huge list, guys. But before we move ahead, here is a quick specs of this Vivo V9. As you can see, it's powered by the Snapdragon 626 chipset. It has the 6.3-inch screen and the 19:9 aspect ratio. It has a dual camera setup for the rear-facing camera and a 24-megapixel front-facing camera, and other specs are on the screen for your reference. And yes, first let's talk about the pricing. When I unboxed this device, I didn't know about the pricing, and it's priced at rupees 23,000. And just like prior Vivo smartphones, I feel Vivo is charging quite a bit of premium for what it is offering. Nothing has changed. I thought Vivo would be aggressive with the pricing, but that's not the case. And generally I start with the pros and cons, but for this device I have to talk about the skin that they are using. It runs over Android Oreo, that is 8.1, but it is heavily skinned, and Vivo calls this skin as Fun OS. So first let's look at that Fun OS, then we'll continue with the pros and cons. So this is the Vivo V9, and it's running over this Fun Touch OS, and it tries to mimic the iPhone layout. And like most Chinese phones, this does not have an app tray, so all your app icons will be here. You do have folders like this, and as you can see, even for notifications, yes, you get the notifications here, but for quick settings you have to swipe from here, as you can see, and here you have these quick toggles and stuff over here, and recent apps will also show over here. Like this. So this is okay, I would say, but now if we go towards the settings, as you can see, the layout is actually pretty different compared to most other Android smartphones. Good thing is that if you go to again, as you can see, the layout is very different. More settings. And about the phone, as of now I would say it's running on what do you say, Android version 8.1, so that's a good thing, but I'm not very sure moving forward how would be the update situation because of this very heavy skin that they are using. And general operations, it is okay, I would say. In terms of RAM management, I was surprised that the RAM management is okay, considering again it has this heavy skin, as I've mentioned earlier. But now moving to some other things is that they have this default browser that they are using, this one, and but I don't like to use that default browser, so I installed Chrome web browser, and as you can see, this is the Chrome web browser that I'm using, and I've opened this web page in the Chrome web browser. But notice what happens when I click on a link. When I click on a link, instead of opening it in Chrome, it's opening itself in that native own browser. So it's sort of hijacking the links, and I didn't find any option to restrict that. So I just don't like this browser what Vivo is giving, and I don't know why it's sort of hijacking the links from a third-party browser. This is one thing that is sort of annoying me. And now moving to another thing that I noticed is that because of this heavy UI, you can't get some of the stats that you would expect for an Android smartphone. For example, moving to the battery, here as you can see, here we have the battery, but again we don't have any detailed stats. We have this rank option. I just restarted the phone, so you don't have much info about the graphs that you typically get with a typical Android smartphone. For example, the screen on time, how much time a particular app was using, stuff, and this was very surprising. It's not like the battery life on this phone was bad, but again this Fun Touch OS, whatever they call, is being very restrictive, and it's not allowing us to get stats like battery life and stuff. For example, I was getting almost about 1.5 days of battery life with this one, but as this UI is not allowing us to get the graphs, I simply can't show you that. So yeah, this is the Fun Touch OS. It's just trying to be too much like iPhone, and frankly speaking, it's hiding some of the stats that you would expect from a typical Android phone because of this UI. So anyways, let's start with the pros and cons. And the first thing that I liked about this device is the screen. It has this new screen, which is again a IPS LCD screen, and the quality of the screen is actually good. It's a 6.3-inch screen, and yes, it has that notch. and yes, it looks like the iPhone 10, and I think so this whole smartphone is sort of inspired based on iPhone 10. I'll talk about that because you have seen the Fun Touch OS. It's trying to mimic what iPhone does. The screen quality is good, and yes, it does have that notch, and many times the notch is hidden for the most part, but yeah, in some of the apps you will notice the notch, but again, it's not very intrusive, I would say. So in terms of screen quality, Vivo has put a good screen quality on this, and also this might be a pro or a con. The phone is actually pretty light to hold, and that is due to the fact that the back, actually it looks like glass, but it's not a glass, it's a plastic back that you have. The good thing is that if the phone falls down, it won't crack because it's not a glass. But again, at this price point, they should have gone with a metallic back or something. They do bundle a protective case in the box that comes. Again, check out the unboxing video for more info if you want to know what came inside the box and what other things. Now moving to another thing that I like is that this is a proper dual SIM phone with a dedicated slot for a micro SD card. So you can put 2 nano SIMs and a SD card on this device. Now moving to the cellular call quality, I tested this one in Hyderabad with Airtel 4G and Jio, and it worked fine. The earpiece quality is good, so no problems in terms of cellular call quality. Now moving to another thing that I've noticed, and quite a few of you have asked, it does have a physical LED notification light in the notch. It's a very tiny one, but yes, that is present. And I was also surprised regarding the RAM management. The RAM management on this device is surprisingly good considering that heavy Fun Touch OS that we have. So in terms of day-to-day usage, I did not have any issues with this device, and it holds most of the apps also in the RAM. So no issues regarding the RAM management. We also have surprisingly DLNA support. If you want to use that feature, that is present on the phone. Another thing that I liked is that regarding sensors, it hasn't skimped on the important sensors. All the important sensors that you need are present, like auto brightness sensor, and even gyroscope is present. I tested it with YouTube 360 degrees videos, and those work. As it's mimicking iPhone, obviously it has that face unlocking feature, and it actually works. Let me show you. It sees my face, and within a second it unlocks. So the face unlocking feature also works. But fortunately, we also have this fingerprint scanner, and the fingerprint scanner also works very well. So in that aspect, it works. Now, one thing is that it has this 3.5mm headphone jack, and Vivo is promoting the smartphone as a camera-centric and a music-centric smartphone. But one thing to note is that the sound quality from the headphone jack is good. It's very clear, but I was saddened to notice that it does not have any options like Dolby sound or others, because they are actually in their marketing press material, they are marketing this as a music smartphone. So the audio quality via the headphone is good. I tested it with this Audio-Technica M40X and M50X. The sound output is clear and crisp, but again, it doesn't have any sound enhancements like Dolby and stuff, which I thought for a music-centric smartphone should have been present. Another thing that I've noticed is that as it's running on the Snapdragon 626 chipset, in day-to-day usage, I never notice any issues of overheating with this phone. Again, Snapdragon 625 and 626 are very power efficient chips. So that was the same case with this one. Even though that this one has just 3260 milliamp hour battery, the battery life was lasting me with a single SIM usage for almost 1.5 days. Again, as I have told you guys, I can't show you the battery stat because this silly Fun Touch OS doesn't allow us generates the graphs that typical Android phones do. So yes, the battery life was good, about 1.5 days with typical usage with a single SIM. And now the biggest thing about this device is the camera, and it has the 24 megapixel selfie camera, and I have to say for a selfie camera the performance is actually really good. Here are some of the sample shots that I've shot with the front facing camera of this Vivo V9, and as you can see, the shots came out to be really good. And we also have that bokeh portrait mode even with the front facing camera, and I feel it does actually a very good job. But when we move to the rear facing camera, it has this dual camera setup. The first is a 16 megapixel sensor and the second is a 5 megapixel sensor for depth sensing. This is similar to what Honor does, and I would say outdoor shots, as you can see, came out really good with the rear facing camera. And we also have that bokeh mode, the depth mode. You can even actually change the bokeh level later on if you want. But again, when we move to artificial lighting conditions and indoor lighting conditions, I feel the rear facing camera performance was not that great. So definitely I would say the front facing camera is better than the rear facing camera on this one. So these were the good things about this device. Now let's move to the cons, and trust me guys, there are some cons that are the first that I've noticed for this device. And the first thing is regarding fast charging. It simply does not support fast charging. The charger that you get in the box is not a fast charger, but I tested this device with a tester using a fast charger, and I was surprised that if you use a fast charger, this charger is a certified Qualcomm quick charger too, but when I was using that charger, it was actually charging it slowly. It was not going over 1 amp. With the regular charger that is supplied in the box, the max current that it pulls is about 1.5 amps. So saddened to see that though that they haven't bundled a fast charger in the box, the device simply does not support quick charging, which is actually not that good considering the price point of this device. It should have supported fast charging. Also, as I've told you, because of that Fun Touch OS, you just can't go deep inside it and get battery graphs to see which how your phone is performing. So I simply do not like the fact. And also considering the price point at around 23,000, they're still using the old micro USB port. They should have seriously gone with the USB Type-C, but that's not the case with this device. Also, as Vivo is marketing this device as a selfie centric smartphone, and yes, the selfie camera, that is a 4 megapixel shooter, is actually a very good one, but it was very surprising that we don't have a front facing LED flash on it, which is sort of a necessity in some situations. Yes, like iPhones, in very low lighting situations, when you take a photograph, the screen becomes white to lit you up. For example, these are the shots that I took side by side. But again, considering that the whole USP of this device is the front facing camera, they should have given a front facing LED flash, which is actually found in many of the smartphones that cost a lot less than this device. Also, with that Fun Touch OS UI, for the most part it is okay, but I have noticed some UI lag at times with that one. So that is something you have to be aware of. Also, as it's a music centric smartphone according to Vivo in their marketing material, it has a single speaker here at the bottom. It's not that it's not loud. For example, let me actually play one of my own videos to give you an idea about that. Say this Nokia 7 Plus in India is priced. The speaker is only here at the bottom, as you can see. And considering this, this smartphone at this price point, and as Vivo is marketing as a music-centric smartphone, they should have given a speaker even on the earpiece. In fact, iPhone 10 does that. So again, yes, the speaker is good enough, but I sorely miss the fact that it's not a dual speaker. Before I continue with the cons and give my conclusion about this Vivo V9, here is a word from the sponsor of this video, that is Mivi.in. Mivi Saxo wireless Bluetooth headphones look very stylish with leather headband and metallic inserts. The leather cushions are very comfortable. With Qualcomm CSR Bluetooth IC, the music quality is amazing and has great battery life. It supports HD stereo sound with super solid bass. You can take phone calls and it supports passive noise cancellation. It can pair with 2 devices simultaneously. Use coupon code Geekyranjit15 at Mivi.in to get 15% discount on all Mivi products. Check out the link in description below for more info. Now moving to the rear facing camera, again it has that dual camera setup. Again, as I've mentioned, the rear facing camera is simply not that great in artificial lighting situations and indoor lighting compared to the competition. And also when you use the dual camera mode in that depth mode or that portrait mode where it uses both the camera, the processing speed is not that fast. It takes some time. Yes, like on a phones, if you use that portrait mode, you can adjust the aperture later on if you want, but again the processing speed is not that fast when you use that dual camera setup. And I feel that is due to the fact that this smartphone is using the Snapdragon 626 SoC. They should have gone with the Snapdragon 630 or the 636 because the ISP, that is the image signaling processor, is better and more optimized for dual camera setups. And lastly, the processor that is used on this one is the Snapdragon 626. It's not a bad processor. It's a tested processor that gets great battery life. But considering the price point of this phone at 23,000, Vivo should have gone with the Snapdragon 636 or at least a Snapdragon 630 SoC. To sum it up, I would say here is the conclusion for for the Vivo V9. I would say this Vivo V9 is for a person for whom selfie camera is the most important and the highest priority, and wants a phone that looks like the iPhone 10 and can live with that fun touch OS. If you are that kind of a person and you are okay with the premium that Vivo is charging, you can have a look at this. But if you are not that sort of a user, there are other smartphones that do offer better value than the Vivo V9. So guys, this was the full in-depth review for the Vivo V9. If you are still not subscribed to my YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. This is Ranjit and I hope to see you in my next video. Take care guys. Catch you later.